we've got to finish by talking about Love Story.
Please.
We talked about this before it had really launched when you were on, I don't know, a time or two ago. And my opinion, I was saying this to you in the break, of the two actors playing JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette has changed dramatically. Now I'm totally in favor of them. Now I actually think they are good choices. I love the guy playing JFK Jr.
I do too.
He's very hunky, and he actually is very good.
Very good.
And I'm in, and I even think like Doug was like, why is his voice so weird? Doug didn't like his voice. I'm like, that's kind of how JFK Jr. sounded.
That was his voice. He nailed the voice.
Right? He didn't have like a deep, resonating, manly voice. He sounded like this guy, which is not bad, but it's not.
It's a weird voice.
It's a weird voice. And the woman playing Carolyn Bessette, I think, is doing a great job. Sarah Pigeon, is that her name? Mm-hmm. She's very interesting. She's very beautiful to look at. So anyway, I've actually come to really enjoy the series. I'm in episode 5. I totally agree with everything you say about Ryan Murphy. He's disgusting and likely a misogynist. But I want to get your take on it, because what do you think? So and I know, of course, how it ends because I lived it. You know,
right.
I watched in 1999 from the Hamptons when that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was out in the Hamptons when that plane went down. But what do you think is the overall gulf between the way they're being portrayed, these two, by Ryan Murphy on the screen, and the way they actually were in real life?
There's something about JFK that he does get right, JFK Jr., which is this sort of shaggy dog, like aimless, like I'm a himbo. He was a himbo. He was a himbo who didn't really know what he was doing, and everything in his life was falling apart. What they shy away from I think if they had really gone in on the truth, I think they're kicking themselves. They would have had 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
This thing is a cultural phenomenon. It's very rare in like our atomized culture where you get something where everyone's kind of obsessed with it. And everyone is and was, and I get it, but like they completely ignore her drug use, which was very heavy, which was a real problem. They completely ignore both of them cheating on each other. They don't really get deep into how damaged both of these people were. They were very damaged people who brought out the worst in each other. And it sort of builds on itself from there as we approach the inevitable end.
Mm-hmm. I know you've also said you think there's a misogynistic like tinge in the way they portray the actual crash. Because effectively, Ryan Murphy, at the very beginning of the series, and I'm not on the last episode, but I've heard you talk about it, and of course I know what actually happened, they blame her. They blame Carolyn Bessette.
For getting her nails done.
For being late.
They try to give themselves a little bit of an out. Here's the thing. This is where I think representation sometimes matters. It's Ryan Murphy, it's under his umbrella, and then the showrunner is a man. The creators are a man, and I think you really need a woman in there, a woman who knows what she's talking about. They try to give themselves an out by having Carolyn's mother, after the crash, in a conversation with Caroline Kennedy that never took place, say, you understand the media is blaming my daughter for getting her nails done. Are you aware of that? And Caroline says in a very sort of humbled way, I don't. Well, she says, I don't read the papers anymore, whatever. But they nonetheless, they open the series with that. And they end the series with her sister telling JFK Jr., don't be upset with her that she's running late tonight, before they took off. Mm-hmm. And we get it.
Reinforcing it.
And then the way that he chooses to depict the crash, we talked on The Nerve and we showed the photos and we showed one of the Navy divers who led the recovery of what was left of those bodies. There's very little left.
I heard the clips.
Ryan Murphy depicts it as they hit a little turbulence that night. You're gonna die when you have to let me know when you actually watch the finale, because I'm gonna die to know what you think of it. But even people who are obsessed with them as a couple and their quote unquote love story, were like, we don't want to see what went on in the cockpit. Like, don't try to dramatize it. Like, that's kind of a sacred thing. Like, don't dramatize it.
We have a little bit of it. Forgive me, but here's SOT 22. This is.
It's okay, just breathe. John, just breathe. Just breathe.
that?
It's a little light jazz as you're about, like, what is it exactly? And she's sort of very, she's like in this very sort of like Zen yoga master way, saying, just breathe.
There's no chance
Just
that happened.
breathe, which is like a callback to an earlier part of the series where he goes to her after his mother has died and he's having like a panic attack.
Yes,
she's saying,
that's right.
Just breathe. Right. And, those girls in reality, she and her sister were strapped in back to back with him. So their backs were to his back.
Yep.
So as the plane is in its graveyard spiral, the G-forces, the gravity would have been pushing them down on their, like there was, they knew what was happening, This to me is so irresponsible. It's because it's not just a cultural document. There are people who don't know anything about this and think it's all true. They're going to think that this is how it happens.
And their relatives are still alive. This isn't something that happened 100 years ago. It was 7 years ago. So like their families have to see this, and it's disrespectful to portray the actual moments before the death when you have no idea, especially when you're Ryan Murphy. You're not known for your care and class in portraying any sort of an event. And her mother is upset, I guess, about like the way her daughter was portrayed in the media. That's we pulled the clip that you're referring to. Let's play it, and then you can tell us what's happening here. So this is it's a made-up scene between Carolyn Bessette's mother and Caroline Kennedy, SOT 24.
Some of the media are saying they crashed because Carolyn was getting her nails done, delayed their takeoff. Not that your brother wasn't equipped to fly at night and took off anyway, but that she held them back, her vanity. Are you aware of that?
I stopped reading the news.
Well, I have nothing left to protect but their legacies. There are images of your brother beaming around the world on the cover of every newspaper and magazine. Carolyn's photo is usually on the inside, and Lauren is practically a footnote, but she wasn't famous, so I guess her face doesn't sell papers.
What's so crazy about this, Maureen, you and I have been talking about this since you wrote Ask Not, is that John F. Kennedy Jr., in your view, clearly had a death wish. And I've heard you say this is almost a murder-suicide. Like maybe not, an intentional, I'm going to go murder, but he lived so recklessly in so many ways and was obviously very depressed. And in the way that some people who are very, very depressed just take huge unnecessary risks with their lives because they feel unimportant to them. They don't really care if they end. To me, that seems like why that jet went down.
I put it together both on the nerve and I Ask Not why I think that. And a lot of it comes from his historical record of not just placing himself in grave mortal danger, but bullying his girlfriends into doing it with him.
Yes.
So it's a pathology.